everyone. Welcome to your Medical Language 2 course. This is week 8, and in this week we are going to be covering 2 chapters. We're going to be covering chapter 27 and chapter 28. Chapter 27 is all about health insurance billing, and chapter 28 is basically about computers. So let's take a look at chapter 27 first. Chapter 27, like I said, health insurance billing is probably one of the most important things for you to understand once you start working in a pharmacy, whether it is a retail setting, an acute care setting, a long-term care setting, whatever. Everyone is going to have some sort of billing that has to be done in order for them to successfully complete the transaction. So the health insurance is what we use to offset the costs of your medical care. So we can be talking about private health insurance. We can be talking about government-funded health insurance. Maybe we're talking about disability. All of those things fall into this bucket. So it's really important that we understand all of these types of insurance and how to process them. Now, everybody's computer system within a facility is going to be a little bit different. But ultimately, some of the terminology is going to be the same regardless of what kind of computer billing system you're using and what type of health insurance your patient may or may not have. So these are just a few of them that you'll be reading about. Group insurance is something that typically someone might have through an employer. So you might have Blue Cross Blue Shield, something along those lines. Individual insurance could be something that you purchase on your own. Government-sponsored insurance could be something like Medicare or Medicaid. Could also be TRICARE for the military. Then we've also got self-insured plans that typically are things that folks who may own their own business would have. And then medical savings accounts. So as you go through and read about all of these different types, you need to understand that depending on what type of insurance an individual has, that's going to kind of determine how they get billed and how their insurance company gets billed, etc. Typically, we talk about premiums. So the premium is the price that we pay, either out of our own pocket or that our employer pays for us to have that particular type of coverage. So if you can't qualify for group insurance, maybe you're not employed, maybe you're not employed full time, then you can purchase individual policies. So that's what is known as personal insurance policies. Then, of course, we have our government plans, Medicare, Medicaid, like I said, TRICARE, CHAMP V. These are all part of government programs. Medicare is health insurance for those that are age 65 and older, and those who are under 65 but fall in some sort of disability category. Medicare falls into 2 parts: the hospital insurance piece, Part A, and the medical insurance piece, which is Part B. And then we have the Part C, which is all about HMOs and PPOs, and then Part D, which is the drug benefits. So the Part D is typically what you're going to be dealing with in pharmacy, although sometimes you may be dealing with Part B as well, depending on what type of item that they're working on. If it's something like canes and things like that, sometimes those things fall under Part B. So it just kind of depends. And then, of course, you've got Medicaid. Medicaid is for those who are considered medically indigent. So those are beneath a certain dollar threshold. So those who meet certain criteria as far as income. And then TRICARE. TRICARE is for military personnel and the dependents of military personnel. And then CHAMP VA is for those who are covered under veteran coverage. So they've already they've left the active duty, but they're in veteran status. And then again, also their dependents as well. Workman's comp is different by state. So every state is a little bit different depending on, where you live. But there are workman's comp laws that do cover pharmacy. So it's really important that you understand those. So as you go through this chapter, make sure that you're just become familiar with all of the different terminology that is related to health insurance billing. Because ultimately, if we do not bill properly, we do not get paid properly. And if we don't get paid as a pharmacy, then we don't get paid as an employee. So it's very important that we understand how billing occurs. Now, the second chapter this week is chapter 28, which is about the computer in the pharmacy. Now, it's going to talk about some of the basics, hardware and software and things like that. So, I mean, even things like, the mouse, the keypad, the keyboard, things like that. But it's going to also discuss a few other things. So some of the other things that it's going to talk about, which are going to be really important for you to pay attention to, are things like the automation. So the robotics that are used within a hospital pharmacy specifically, I want you to pay attention to. Also things like the PDAs that are used to enter patient notes. Barcode scanners are also a very important part of a community pharmacy. So as you read through this chapter, know that there are going to be a few topics that may not be as familiar to you as the basic computer. And again, as with all chapters, if you have any questions, please make sure you reach out to me. You can call, email, or text anytime, and have a great week.